Good morning, all of you. CA Intermediate accounts non-performing assets in banking companies. Watch my next special class for free. New features alert. You can raise your hand. There is an option of voice chat. Raise hand to speak directly with educator in a live class. Voice chat to discuss doubts and concepts with educator. You can also ask your doubts through screenshot, text, and voice chat. Test your knowledge through live quizzes and polls. Unacademy, ask a doubt anytime from anywhere. Ask unlimited doubts. Ask doubts at any time. Get high quality solutions in English and Hindi. Receive exam matches for questions. Obtain instant and accurate solution to questions. Get assistance with your homework. For plus subscription, get 10% off if you use the code Yeshas Live, and 12-month subscription will cost you 1688 per month. Totally it will cost you 20,250. Iconic subscription will cost you for 12 months 38,250, and per month it will cost us 3188. Use the code Yashas Live, you will get 10% off. Today's objective of this session is to discuss non-performing assets in case of a banking company. So in this session we will be discussing that how a banking company recognizes income, and how the provisions are made on the non-performing assets of a banking company. That is what is the objective of this session. Income recognition. See, a bulk of banks' income, like ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, Kotak Bank, the bulk of income of these banks is from two sources. Those two sources are interest on loans and advances, interest on loans and advances. Majority of a banking company's income comes from two sources. One is interest on loans and advances, and the other one is discounting charges on bills discounted. Now, for the purpose of recording the interest earned on loans and advances, bank classifies its loans and advances into two categories: performing loans and advances, non-performing loans and advances. For the purpose of recording interest earned, for recording interest earned, the banking companies, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, Kotak Bank, HDFC Bank, what they do, they classify their loans and advances. For banks, loans and advances are assets. It basically represents money receivable from people who have borrowed money from bank. So for the purpose of recording the interest income, the loans and advances are classified into two parts. One is called performing assets and the other one is called non-performing assets. Performing and non-performing. Performing assets refers to those loans and advances on which there is no significant risk regarding collection of income and installments. Normal risks are attached, but there is no major significant risk regarding its collection. Say for example, ICICI Bank has given loan to Mr. Rajesh. Mr. Rajesh is regularly making the payment of the installments, interest on the loans and advances as and when the installments are becoming due. Then the loan given to Rajesh will be classified, Rajesh Private Limited will be classified as performing assets. So performing assets basically refers to those loans and advances on which there is no significant risk attached regarding collection of installments, that is principal and interest. Then those loans and advances are classified as performing assets. Now, what are these non-performing assets? Basically, non-performing assets refers to those loans and advances on which bank does not receive income for a certain period of time. A loan or an advance given by ICICI Bank, Axis Bank to somebody is said to be a non-performing asset if it stops generating, if it ceases to generate income for the bank. If the bank has stopped receiving interest on that loan, principal amount, installment amount on that loan, then such kind of loans and advances, bank classifies or calls it non-performing assets. So in simple language, non-performing asset refers to those loans and advances on which banks does not receive income. Bank does not receive income for a certain period. So a loan or an advance given by bank is classified as NPA if the bank has stopped generating, if the bank has stopped or receiving income installment from that loan. If bank has stopped receiving interest, principal, or both on a loan or advance, then such loan or advance is regarded as non-performing asset. Non-performing asset, an asset which is not generating any income for us, which has stopped generating income for us. Now the question is, why is this classification important? Based on this classification, the banks recognizes the income. If a particular loan or advance is classified as a performing asset, then the interest income on those loans and advances is recognized on accrual basis in the books of bank. So ICICI Bank has given loan to Rajesh Export Private Limited, and if Rajesh Export Private Limited is regularly making the payment of the installments without any default, and even if there is a default, the default does not exceed certain period of time, then the loan given to Rajesh Export Private Limited will be classified as performing asset, and the interest income on that loan the bank will keep on recognizing on accrual basis, earned basis. This is the reason the classification of loans and advances between performing and non-performing is vital, because the interest income on the performing advances are recognized on accrual basis, whereas on non-performing loans and advances it is recognized on receipt basis. Suppose ICICI Bank has given loan to Videocon Industries, and Videocon Industries has suppose, or XYZ industry has suppose stopped paying interest or installments, have defaulted on the payment of installment interest, then the interest income on the loan given to Videocon industry, XYZ industry, ICICI Bank will stop recording in its books. Then we will record only the interest income on received basis. So if a loan and advance is classified as a non-performing asset, the income on those loans and advances are gets recorded in the books of the banking company on receipt basis. So income on performing asset, is recognized on accrual basis, whereas income on non-performing asset is recognized as on receipt basis. Let us understand with the help of an example this particular concept. Let us understand with the help of an example. For example, if you see this particular example over here, they have given us the interest on advances of a commercial bank. They have given us the interest on advances of a commercial bank, performing assets and non-performing asset. In case of performing assets, they have given us interest earned is 120, 750, 150, and interest received is 80, 620, 150. If a loan or a advance given by the bank is recognized or classified as a performing asset, then the interest income on that particular loan or advance will be recorded in the books of accounts on earned basis. So received column information is of no use, ignore it. Total this 150 plus 750, 900, 900 plus 120, 1020 is the interest income which will be recognized with respect to these loans and advances. But if a particular loan or advance is classified as a non-performing asset, if a particular loan or advance is recognized as a non-performing asset, then in that situation, we will recognize the income on such assets on received basis, not on earned basis, because there is a significant risk attached to its ultimate collection. So as in when you receive the money, you recognize the income. So suppose we have received 32 plus 5. Here we have received 37. So only 37 will be recognized as an income. So this is the significance of classifying the loans and advances of a banking company into performing and non-performing, because based on that, the income on those loans and advances are recorded in the books of accounts. Now, second usage of classifying the advances of a banking company into performing and non-performing is creation of provision. If a loan or advance falls under the category of standard asset, performing asset, that is those assets which does not show any problems, those loans and advances which does not show any problems other than the normal risk which everybody has, which every loans and advances which every business has, those are called standard asset, also known as performing asset. If a loan or advance, ICICI Bank has given loan to Rajesh Export Private Limited, and if there is no significant risk attached on the recovery of that loan, then how much provision on that loan should be made is given by to us as per RBI guidelines. It depends upon the nature of business of the entity to whom ICICI Bank has given loan. If the entity is engaged in the business of agriculture, then we create a provision of 0.25%. If the entity is engaged in the sector of real estate sector, then 1%. Other than agriculture and real estate, 0.4. Housing loans, 2%. Advances to commercial real estate residential housing sector, 0.75%. So these rates, basically we have to memorize it. RBI has given these rates, we have to memorize and keep in our mind. Similarly, if a loan or advance is classified as a substandard asset. Now, when will a loan or advance be classified as substandard asset? If the interest, principal or installment on a particular loan or advance is overdue for a period of more than 3 months but less than 12 months. Suppose ICICI Bank has given loan to Mr. Rohit, and Rohit is supposed to make the payment of EMIs. He didn't pay one of the EMIs, and for the first 3 months from the due date of that EMI, for the first 3 months, for the first 90 days, loan given to Rohit will be classified as standard asset only. From the 91st day, that is after the expiry of 3 months, from the 91st day till the next 1 year, if the recovery has not happened from Rohit, we classify Rohit, the loan given to Rohit, as substandard asset. So substandard asset is a non-performing asset. Yes, it is a non-performing asset on which the bank has stopped receiving installment, interest, principal, anything, and the installments are overdue for more than 3 months. Then those kind of loans and advances which are falling in the NPA category, under the NPA category, they are subdivided as or called as substandard. And if they are secured, then as per RBI guidelines, on such loans and advances, we should create a provision of 15%. And if they are unsecured infrastructure loan, then 20%, where the safety of escrow accounts are available. And other unsecured loans, where safety of escrow accounts are not available, we create a provision of 25%. Similarly, if the loan given by bank is overdue for more than 12 months, like for example, ICICI Bank gave a car loan to Rohit. Rohit didn't pay the installment, one of the installment. So for the first 90 days, Rohit will be classified as standard asset. From the 91st day, Rohit will be from the 91st day of continuous default. After the expiry of 90 days, from the 91st day, Rohit will be classified as non-performing asset. Under non-performing asset, Rohit will be classified as substandard asset for the first 1 year. And then loan to Rohit will be classified as doubtful. Doubtful is further subdivided into 3 categories: doubtful up to 1 year, doubtful greater than 1 but less than 3, and doubtful greater than 3. So for the first 1 year, the loan to Rohit will be classified as doubtful up to 1 year if recovery has not yet happened. Then for the next 2 years, it will be classified as doubtful greater than 1 but less than 3, and for more than 3 years, it will be classified as doubtful greater than 3. After that also, if recovery is not happening from Rohit, then on the recommendation of RBI or internal auditors, management, loan to Rohit will be classified as loss assets. Now, why it is important that we classify the loans and advances or subdivide it into so many categories: substandard, doubtful 1, doubtful more than 1 but up to 3, but doubtful greater than 3, loss assets? Because on the date of balance sheet, whatever is the status of the loan, to whichever category loan to Rohit falls, based on that, the provision on that loan will be made. This is the reason it's important that we classify the non-performing asset into these categories. If loan to Rohit on the provision making date is classified as substandard asset, then we create these provision based on the nature of the loan. If on the provision making date, balance sheet date, loan to Rohit is classified or falling under the category of doubtful up to 1 year, then we create a provision, and if the loan is secured by some security, 25%. If it is doubtful greater than 1 but up to 3, 40%. Doubtful greater than 3, 100% provision. And if the loan and advances given to Rohit are unsecured, then full 100% provision we create. Under loss assets, a provision of 100% is required. The point which you have to understand over here is, which you should keep in your mind, is shifting from performing category to non-performing substandard takes place on the expiry of 3 months continuous default. Shifting from substandard to doubtful up to 1 year takes place on the expiry of 1 year. Shifting from doubtful 1 to doubtful 2 and 3 takes place on the expiry of again 1 year. Shifting from doubtful greater than 1 but up to 3 to doubtful more than 3 takes place on the expiry of 2 years. But shifting from the category of doubtful greater than 3 to loss assets takes place on the recommendation of internal, external auditors, RBI inspectors, etc. So let's see what kind of questions they ask on this topic in exam. In exam, we are generally asked very simple questions on this topic, not at all difficult. They will give us the loans and advances. They will tell us the status of that loans and advances on the provision making date. ICICI Bank has given loans to so many people, or any XYZ bank has given loans to so many people. They will give us the data, and then they will tell us that the status of the loans and advances, that this particular loan is falling under this category, this particular loan is falling under that category. So and then they will be asking us to find out how much provision should be made on such loans and advances. So let's understand with the help of an example. So let's do this example. Number 13. From the following information, find out the amount of provisions to be shown in the P&L account of AG Bank. It's very simple. All you have to do is that with the amount of the loans and advances, first you identify Where is this loans and advances? What is the status of this loans and advances? It is falling under the status of standard asset. If it is standard asset, and if the nature of the loans and advances have not been mentioned in the question, assume that this loans and advances is not related to agriculture, or not related to real estate sector, it is not related to housing sector, it is other sector. So create a provision of 0.4%. So all you have to do, multiply by 0.4%. So 5,000 into 0.4%. It will be 20. Then, if the loans and advances is falling under the category of substandard on the balance sheet date, and if the question is silent, then the standard assumption is, assume that that particular loans and advances ke against may we have some security, and create a provision of 15% on that. These rates are given by RBI guidelines. We have to keep these rates in our mind. We have to memorize it basically. So 600. Whenever question is silent, take one standard assumption that all the loans and advances are secured. Doubtful up to 1 year 25%, doubtful greater than 1 but for 3 years 40%, doubtful more than 300%. These rates are given in the above table, we just now discussed it. And loss assets, we create a provision of 100%. So all we have to do is that we have to multiply with the outstanding amount these percentages, and we will get the how much amount of provision we should make, and then you just add everything. 240, 200 and 1000, then add it. So 600 plus 20 plus 200 plus 240 plus 200 plus 1000 comes to 2260. So this kind of questions they ask in exam. Thank you, all of you.